couple days ago. It's the sweet corn and black bean salsa, which is my favorite and my husband's favorite. So today I'm just going to go through with how we make that. If I can change this around, I'm going to show you what we have going. And my stove, I have a pan of boiling water. This is to where we can just get the skins off the tomatoes. So I have water boiling, and then I have a tub of ice water. I just rinse off my tomatoes before I do them, and then I bring them over to the sink. I have this handy little chopping board where I can take the skins off and discard them in the strainer there, and then dice up the rest of the tomatoes and put them in my jug. So that's for doing the tomatoes. Here's my recipe right there. As you see, I'll need 16 cups of tomatoes, 4 cups of onions, 1.5 cups of bell pepper, half a cup of jalapeno, and then the rest of the ingredients. So I always recommend that when you're doing something like this, just make sure you have all the ingredients. I've already gone through, I've got all my spices and things there that I need. And then the rest of the things, so I've got my canner, I've got the instruments I need. There's to help pour into the jars. This is what you'll use to get rid of any air bubbles, and then it has measuring things there on how much space at the top of each jar you need. This little magnet for getting out the lids once you sterilize those in hot water, and then the little can grabber, whatever their name is. Okay, a few more ingredients there, and then make sure you have your jars with the rims and the lids. So I'm going to bring you over here and just show you how this works with the tomatoes. I don't know if I can set this up quickly. Let's see, I can get this to where you can see this process. Okay, so the lights on here. There we go. So, popping my tomatoes. I had a really good crop of tomatoes this year, which I'm real happy about. And so these tomatoes I actually picked a couple days ago, but they weren't quite ready. So they've just been ripening up for the past couple days. And so I put just as many as I can fit nicely without my hot water going over. And then I just set the timer for 3 minutes. So when that's done, then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I still have just over a minute left, but already I can see that these skins are peeling off. So I'm just going to carefully take these out and put them in the ice water, and that just stops the cooking process of the tomatoes. And then that just helps you get those skins off nice and easy. So whilst those are cooling, I'm going to set in some more tomatoes. I always set the timer, even though I typically pull them out before the 3 minutes, but it's just in case I get distracted and then forget about it. So that does happen, unfortunately, probably more often than I would like to admit. Okay, so whilst that is now getting down to the last minute, I'm going to take these ones that have been cooling out and put them on my chopping board to make room for the ones that are in the pan right now. Okay, so over to my sink. You see that these skins just peel off real nice and easy. Just pull them off, and then I typically cut off the end bit. If you want to be very frugal in saving all your little pieces, you can cut around the stem bit there and keep those bits of tomato. Sometimes I just discard them just for the sake of time. Slice it. I just basically dice up the tomato into rough chunks. Try and keep some consistency there. So as I go through this, then I try and stay on top. Right now I don't have any tomatoes in the pan because I don't want them to be ready before I'm ready for them. So this is all there is to the tomatoes. Now you just go through this process until you have 16 cups of tomatoes. So this is an 8-cup jug. So I just basically need to fill that twice, and then that's your first step done. And then when this gets full, my little canister here, I just put it into my chicken bucket, which I have a ice cream bucket that I keep for chicken scraps so that they get to eat all the scraps, which I think is great because I feel like we don't really waste anything because what we don't get, the animals get. So there we have that. One of the nice things about making your own salsa is that you get to control what goes into your salsa. So you see how this tomato right here is kind of yellow there, so you know, like when you peel it back, it's going to have those kind of yellow bits on it. And you know, oftentimes you get those in your canned tomatoes that you buy. Well, if you make your own, you can just cut those bits right off. And again, on the inside, you don't like it when you get those yellow bits. Sometimes when you get close to the stem of the tomato, you can get those bits in there. Then you just simply cut around those bits and leave those out of your salsa. So you don't get unwanted pieces of tomatoes in there. Plus you get to use the freshest ingredients, and you know there's been nothing sprayed on them and all that stuff. So it's a great way to use up your garden vegetables. My next one's ready. Okay, the tomatoes are done. I'm just going to show you if I can figure this thing out. There we go. So I'm just going to pour in here. There are 16 cups of tomatoes. And now we need to see. Now we're going to do the rest of the vegetables. I need a cup and a half of green pepper. So, okay, I'm not quite sure the best way to film this, but I need 4 cups of onions. So I want to somehow show you how I dice them up. These wonderful onion goggles got from a friend. A friend gave me those, which are awesome because now my eyes don't water ever when I'm chopping up onions. So if you can see my chopping board, when I dice an onion, let me move this so hopefully you can see this quite clearly. Let's see. Okay, so I cut off the tip of the onion so you've got a flat edge to work on. Leave your little roots at the bottom, but I cut that in half, and then I peel off the outer layer. Unfortunately, I can't give my chickens the scraps onions, so they just go in the trash. So wash my knife off. So now you've got this half an onion that's all held intact by the little root system there, and so you just cut lines all the way through, going up to the edge of that root area, and it just keeps it all still intact. And now you can do your cuts this way, and now you see you've got nice little diced bits of onions. So that's just the way I cut onions, which is quick and easy and gives you a consistent sized cut. And depending on the size of your onion, it can usually, one onion is about 1 cup, but I'll just dice up 3 and see if that's enough for now. Okay, there's my onions done. It's my 4 cups of onions. Now I need 1.5 cups of green pepper. So I just cut the end off like that, slice that up, and dice it. I probably won't need to use all of this pepper because I've already cut up 1.5 left over from the other day. So probably just right there should be enough. Ooh, those onions are strong. I should probably keep my onion goggles on until I get them cooking. All right, then I need 1/2 cup of jalapenos, and I don't wear gloves when I cut these up, and I try to wash my hands very thoroughly. I would recommend, if you, especially if you have a baby, that you're touching a lot, to wear gloves. I just cut out the stem, take out all the seeds. And then I just slice and dice. So, by the size of these jalapenos, I probably only need 2 to make up my 1/2 cup. Okay, all right, just wash my hands. go. Okay, so let's see how the best way to show this is. Just have it on selfie stick mode. Okay, so we're going to pour in our 4 cups of onions, 1.5 cups of green pepper. Gosh, those onions are strong. And then 1/2 cup of jalapeno peppers. Now I'm going to transfer it over to the stove here and set it on medium. That's terrible camera photography. Okay, and now to add the rest of the ingredients. So I need, this is my recipe card, let's see, I need a scant cup of sugar, which means just not quite a full cup. Okay, it goes in, and then I need a 1/2 cup of pickling salt. So there's your cumin and pickling salt. Getting lumped together, so it's not coming out very easily. Okay, 1/2 cup of white vinegar. And then I need 3 tablespoons of garlic. I need 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder. Two teaspoons of black pepper. I need 2 tablespoons of cumin seed. I love cumin, one of my favorite spices. Then I need 1 teaspoon of alum, which is just this stuff right there. Where are you? Probably backwards. I don't know what that does, but okay, so mix that all together. It's already smelling really good. Okay, and then I need 2 of these cans of tomato paste. Love the smell of this salsa. And cumin is really way easier than you know, when you talk about canning things. I never grew up canning anything. It wasn't until I first came to Nebraska, and I think it was my sister-in-law showed me how to do it. You know, it just sounds very intimidating, but it's really not. It's really very, very easy. Anyone can do it. I mean, obviously it's more time consuming than buying the stuff from the grocery store, but it tastes so much better. You're using fresh ingredients and good quality ingredients, and it's just really, really nice. A lot more cost effective too. Okay, so that's all mixed in really nice. I'll give you a little look at what that looks like. And so I'll bring this to a boil, and then I will let it simmer for at least an hour and a half, for all those flavors to all come together. There we go. There's the salsa. So, and then during that time, that gives me time just to get the other stuff ready, which I will show you once I clean up my mess here. Okay, so whilst my salsa has been cooking for an hour and a half, I washed my jars and lids and the what do you call them? Jars, lids. And these things, and then I filled up my canna with hot water, and I've just been letting that boil with the jars inside just to sterilize them. So I have my soup ladle and other instruments that I need. So here's my little jar grabber, jar holder. So I'm going to carefully come in here and grab one just right under the rim of where the lid would go. Carefully pour out the water, and I put a little bit of vinegar in the water just so that I don't get any hard water stains. Put my little funnel in here, and I have lids that are in a pan that have been sterilized. I boiled them for a little while. So then I just bring this over here a little more. So then I just ladle in just enough to leave about a half an inch at the top of space at the top of each jar. So just roughly do that. So then I take that off. I just have paper towels just to stop everything getting stained. So I use my little spatula here just to go down the sides to get rid of any air bubbles, and then you can measure on here. There's these little things that's to say how much space you want to leave at the top. So when I've done that, I have a damp paper towel, so I just go over the rim just to pick up any residue, which you can see there. It's a little bit. You want everything nice and clean. Always check your jars beforehand just to make sure that there are no chips or anything or cracks in your jars. And then just put that on. Take these bands and screw them on just lightly tight. You don't want to over tighten them. And then you just carefully put that back in there, and you just follow that process until you've got all your jars filled. And when you're probably about halfway through, you want maybe just about an inch of water space between the water and the lid, because you don't want once the water's boiling, you don't want that water level to drop below the top of your jars. So after a while, you will want to, instead of pour the water out of the jars, you're going to have to very carefully carry those jars over to the sink and pour them out there. Like I said, very carefully, because the last thing you want to do is drop one of those jars filled with boiling water anywhere. Just a little bit more. If you overfill your jars, you just keep a little teaspoon right here in case I need to just take a little bit of extra salsa out of the jar. So go over the rim, put my lid on, and then screw on the band. And my canner holds 10 pint jars. And I like to do between 3 or 4 batches a year, because that's how many we use. Okay, so I filled up all the jars and put the lid on, and then waited till it came to a full boil, and you can tell it's boiling. Well, first of all, you can hear it, but then when you have the steam coming out of your spout, and then I always adjust the temperature because you don't want it boiling over. Oftentimes the excess water will come out of the little steam release valve there, and so I processed it for 30 minutes, and then I shut the heat off and then just let it cool for about 10 minutes. So now I'm going to get my glove and hot pad and very carefully take off the lid here. And then I have my little jar grabber, and then you just want to very carefully, I always lay out a tea towel, and you want to put your jars in a place where they're not going to be by any drafts or anything, because once you take these out, I just tip them slightly just to get the excess water off the top, and then you want to place them about an inch, at least an inch apart, just so air can get between them. And then you want to just leave them set for 24 hours without touching or moving them. And after the 24 hours, then you undo the bands, and then just make sure that the lids are fully secure. Any that the lid just comes off, then you just want to put in the fridge and use within a week, I think it is. You hear them popping already, some of them. And then I have a little bit of salsa left over in my pot, and then you can either just put that in a container, or an extra jar, and put that in the fridge and use within a week. Or I will probably, because I already did a batch earlier this week and had some extra left over, I will freeze mine, and then I can use it in recipes. I like to use salsa in my chili recipe. So, see if you can see that. Let me just grab that. So there we go. There's my 10 jars of salsa. And hope my video was easy to follow. You can have different recipes, but I hope you can see that canning is very easy. It does take time. I think I started this process at 2 o'clock. It's now almost 6. Obviously it wasn't all slaving away at the stove the whole time. Oh, hear them popping. That's those lids sealing. And So I hope my little video encourages you to try some canning. Obviously you can do this with lots of different recipes. This is just my favorite salsa recipe, and one of my favorite ways to use all those delicious garden tomatoes this time of year. So leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I'm no expert. This is just the way I do it and the way I learned to do it. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who have some different techniques. Go ahead and share those in the comments if you do things a little differently. So, but yes, if you try this, I encourage you to. It's definitely a delicious salsa. So, bye for now.